The first attack came without warning. A quiet Tuesday on Earth turned into humanity's introduction to galactic warfare when the Mavari fleet appeared in orbit. Their signature weapons, the dreaded fluid cannons, reduced 3 major cities to nothing but crystallized ash in under an hour. Commander Thomas Reed watched the holographic display with clenched fists. 20 years later, and humanity was still fighting a losing war against an enemy that outmatched them in every way. The Mavari controlled the fluid weapons, weapons that manipulated matter at its most fundamental level, transforming anything they touched into whatever the wielder desired. Usually, that meant transforming human soldiers into statues of glass. Another battalion lost in the Centauri system, Lieutenant Karen Brooks reported, her voice hollow with exhaustion. The fluid cannons bypassed our latest shields like they weren't even there. Thomas slammed his hand against the command console. Damn it, that's the 3rd defensive line this month. The war room of Earth's last major military installation fell silent. Humanity had been pushed back to just 4 planetary systems. The Mavari controlled hundreds, all thanks to those unstoppable fluid weapons. Sir, Karen said softly, Central Command is requesting your presence at the Emergency Council. The scientists have something to report. Thomas nodded grimly. Another desperate plan, another small hope that would likely be crushed. But what choice did they have? Dr. Alan Miller fidgeted nervously as the military council gathered. His discovery was either going to save humanity or get him locked up for insanity. Just tell them what you found, whispered Dr. Lisa Weber, his research partner. Show them the data. When Commander Reed entered, the room stood at attention. At ease, Thomas said. Dr. Miller, I'm told you have something important to share. Alan cleared his throat. We've been analyzing the fluid weapons for years, trying to understand how they manipulate matter so effectively. Last week, we discovered something impossible. He activated the display showing complex energy readings. The fluid weapons aren't technology as we understand it. They're accessing something else, a layer of reality we can't perceive. The energy readings suggest they're tapping into what can only be described as a conscious dimension that interprets commands and executes them. Thomas frowned. You're saying these weapons are alive? Not alive, Lisa interjected. More like connected to something alive, something vast, and we believe we've found a way to communicate with it. The room erupted in disbelief. Quiet, Thomas ordered. Continue, doctors. Alan nodded. We've built a device that can briefly open a channel to this dimension. We want permission to activate it. Thomas studied the desperate faces around him. Earth would fall within months at the current rate. What more did they have to lose? Do it. The device looked underwhelming. A simple metal sphere connected to various computers. The entire council had relocated to the lab for the demonstration. We're ready, Alan announced, his finger hovering over the activation switch. If this works, we'll attempt communication with whatever intelligence controls the fluid technology. He pressed the button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the air itself seemed to fold inward. The sphere began to glow with an impossible light that somehow cast no shadows. Every person present felt a strange pressure in their minds, like someone was gently knocking on a door they didn't know existed. Then words formed in their thoughts, not heard, but understood by all simultaneously. Asterisk curious. New minds. Primitive, yet bold asterisk. Thomas stepped forward instinctively. Who are you? Asterisk. We are the guardians of Daimi Insiolnl stability. You have called. We have ASWERE asterisk. The Mavari are using weapons that we believe connect to your dimension, Thomas replied. They're destroying us. Asterisk the MEVARI, Estol. Wagi was not theirs to take. They tapped our essence. Wayuaiki out to see on CNT or understanding. They use our being as a WEAP on asterisk. Alan gasped. You're saying the fluid weapons are actually drawing power from your dimension? Asterisk Koritsit. We are waiting your kind Mike Kiel gods. Dimensional overseers. The Univeri tier our essence. TUPOR. Their CONQUESTS asterisk. Can you help us? Thomas asked, hope rising for the first time in years. Asterisk, USKDPDRMISSION. You so you king. This PLEZZ US. The EVRI. Only TOK. Asterisk. The light from the sphere intensified. Asterisk. We will INTRVNE asterisk. The Maveri Fleet Commander, Grand Admiral Dorn, was overseeing the final assault plans for the Earth system when every fluid weapon in their armada simultaneously activated. But not under Maveri control. The weapons turned on their wielders. Not to destroy, but to transform. Throughout the galaxy, every Maveri ship, colony, and outpost experienced the same phenomenon. The fluid technology they had relied upon for centuries melted away, along with their technological advantage. On the bridge of the Maveri flagship, Admiral Dorn watched in horror as a shimmering figure coalesced from the fluid that had been their primary cannon. You have abused what was not yours, the figure stated, its voice resonating through the minds of all Maveri. The humans sought permission. They showed respect. You showed only greed. Balance must be restored. 3 days later, Thomas received the surrender transmission from the Maveri leadership. Without their fluid weapons, they were just another spacefaring race, advanced, but no longer unstoppable. When the Maveri diplomats arrived on Earth to sign the formal surrender documents, they were humbled and bewildered. How did humans succeed where all others failed? Asked the Maveri ambassador. We stole the fluid technology from the ancient ruins of the precursors. We mastered it through centuries of study. Thomas glanced at Alan and Lisa before answering. We didn't try to master it. We asked for help. In the years that followed, humanity emerged as the galaxy's diplomatic leader. The beings they had come to call the Gods, guardians of dimensional stability, had granted humans limited access to their power, but only for peaceful purposes. Other races saw humans not as conquerors, but as those who had earned the favor of cosmic powers through humility rather than force. The fluid weapons were never again used for war. Instead, they built, healed, and transformed barren worlds into gardens. The Age of Fear had ended, not because humanity had built a better weapon, but because they had made first contact with the dimension beyond and treated its inhabitants with respect. Everyone had feared the fluid weapons until Diodes intervened, and in that intervention, the galaxy found peace.